When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. I'm here with Kotobuki J.
Hey.
We're here to bring you another special list. This time we're doing top 15 anime that need a re-release. You ever have that series that you really liked, you know it came out, but then when you try to search for it, you can only find that one copy on eBay for $4,000?
And then you have a friend who already has it.
Oh, yes. Well, this is one of those types of lists.
Yeah.
I actually have all but one of the ones mentioned on this list, and the one, well, unless you count various from the one series, and then one of the special mentions I don't have. So,
Okay.
but, and I think you have a good majority.
I have a good chunk of these, and we'll be presenting a couple out of my own collection, but I'm also missing some, and some of them frustrate the hell out of me for that reason. Which is one of the reasons why I appreciate a list like this. Now, anyone who watches a lot of, who keeps an eye on releases, you get that wonderful little rush every now and then when you see something that was released that really needed that release, that had fallen by the wayside, or had become almost like a holy grail for collectors. And we have seen some that have made us very happy getting re-releases. I was thrilled when Sentai picked up the When They Cry franchise, especially because they actually released parts that never got released.
Yeah.
Or the movie 5 centimeters per second, which we were introduced to because he's like, there's this movie that always sells for over $100. So it's like,
Not so much now.
it's great when they get them. So we're hoping that somehow, some way, this list will find its way to people who are in a position to make a difference. This is a follow-up to our previous one. We know it's long, but it's awesome. So go back and watch our list of the anime that really need a release or a completion.
So we're going to try and move more quickly this time.
We gonna try.
I've heard several of you who commented too long to watch. We got a decent number of people watching our last list, but I want to get many more watching this list. So we're going to get ourselves started. So, number 15.
Yeah.
So, City Hunter.
Okay, so we got City Hunter. We have City Hunter 2, City Hunter 3, and City Hunter 91, as well as a number of movie releases. And I see you threw in the Jackie Chan one.
Well, it's because I pulled it out. It was in that mix-up.
Which technically doesn't really belong because it's not an anime, but I still need to see this one.
It's not out of print either, from what I've heard.
I believe, if I'm not much mistaken,
All of those are out of print.
I believe I have that one. I may have one of the other movies, but I don't think I do. All these others, I fall into that category of, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Especially these two, which were expensive as hell when he got them.
Oh, it took effort to collect the whole series, and I was able to get most all of them at the time, and we're talking a good number of years back now. There were a couple, and the movie set, most of these were going cheaply, like for $2-3.
Pretty cheap.
Except for this one, which is a twofer, which is the movie Bad City Wars and $1 Million Conspiracy. Well, whatever. And this one would go, I think, routinely for $50. I got it for $14. I was happy with that.
Not bad.
And I got really lucky because I got these when they weren't that badly out of print. So I got these for $20 for the two parts together. For that one and for this one. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like 32 episodes, this is 31 episodes.
These are 51 total.
Yet these, which are only about 12 or 13 a piece, were the two hardest to get. I couldn't find these on eBay, except for a rare occasion. It was always $100. I could never get it under $100, so I had to pay $100 each for these back in the day. Now they're even harder to get. Even the ones that I showed you previously, I think one or two of those parts can still be gotten cheaply, but it's just hard to get nowadays.
So basically, this is an action series, sort of an action comedy sort of series, I think.
Yep.
You know a whole lot more about it because you've seen it. I've seen bits and pieces. But it's a show that I want. And those of you who are collectors, you probably recognize these old school ADV cases. This was one of the titles that disappeared when ADV disappeared. And no one has bothered to pick it up since then. So it's past time that someone like Discotech will reach back into the file and say, yeah, we need City Hunter, you know?
It's actually a very long series. Unfortunately, it never resolves like it does in the manga. And it follows basically a mercenary of sorts. He gets this business where he goes in and he takes jobs for cash. He is very good with a gun. He's very well skilled. And he's, of course, called City Hunter. He's also a super pervert. Pervert almost on the level of Ataru standards, who may or may not appear on this list later. But this man, he gets his foil in the tsundere that he loves. It's a fun series, very episodical. This is one of those series you can put in, you can watch a few episodes, and you can go about your business. Not a series to binge, but still quite fun.
Especially what a binge it would be.
Well,
Okay.
So, number 14. So, we've got this series called Honey and Clover, and one of my favorite series of all time. Sad that it got that low on the list. But it comes in 3 volumes. You've got Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. They all kind of look alike inside. Viz released 2 series like this, and the other series is also on this list. Which, by the way, shows me that they should be able to come out with more of these in the future. It is a series that is near and dear to my heart. I think I introduced you to this one, didn't I? And to me, it's just a great coming-of-age story showing somebody in college. I had a lot of seeing myself in the main character in a lot of ways, and I think most people could. And that is general fun. And what do you have to say about the...
Well, I'm not as blown away by Honey and Clover as he is. It's a very... it's a slow-moving slice-of-life series, but it does have an ongoing plot as well. And as he said, it's a college-set series, which is a rarity for anime, so that's kind of cool. And it's set in an art school, particularly. It's set in an art school. There's a couple of strange things about it. The main female character, she is young, but she's not supposed to be as young as she looks. Yeah. She looks really young, and that is it kind of takes you out of it just a little bit. The art style definitely takes some getting used to. But it's a very nice series. It's very well done, very well made. Once you get used to the art style, you appreciate that it is something different. And I love these sets. I really do. I like these sets. They're not really built for permanence. They're not but they look nice. They look appropriate to the series. And it is a shame that Viz let that one fall by the wayside. The reason it didn't go higher on the list is I actually overlooked that when I was putting my list together.
Much like I overlooked City Hunter.
Yeah. well, we knew about City Hunter, but since we both had Honey and Clover, we weren't hunting for it. It is nearly impossible to get at anything approaching a decent price. But it really needs a re-release. And whether Viz does the re-release or another company jumps in and grabs it, this is a show that really needs a second showing. And there's also both of these shows. It's funny we started with these two. He has the K-drama for City Hunter.
Yep.
Both of these have K-drama series attached to them.
I have the
So
K-drama
I'd
for
really
that, too.
love to see those get a proper American release. The company that originally put out some of these K-dramas we got seemed to go under almost as soon as they did anything.
Well, they dropped a ton of them, though.
But they dropped some good ones, though. So maybe they'll come back or another one will do it.
Number 13.
All right. And this one is 13, right?
Correct.
Okay, so as we may or may not have mentioned in our run-up to the last one, we did spend a while on introductory info, so, apologize for if that was too much for that one video. But one of the anime that I really kind of cut my teeth on as far as anime goes, this was also the one that got me into RPG gaming, and I can blame him for both of those. But it's a wonderful series called The Slayers. Now, of course, Funimation has the license for the main series.
Yes.
And as far as I know, they're all still in print. As far as we know. So there's 5 seasons. Slayers, Slayers Next, Slayers Try. And then they came back many years later and did Revolution and Evolution R.
They did a re-release of those, too.
Right.
So,
But as far as we know, and feel free to leave in the comments if you know that we're wrong about this, I don't think Funimation licensed the movie or the OVAs.
yeah, I've never seen them outside of ADV.
There's Slayers, the motion picture, which focuses on series stalwart Lena Inverse and Naga the Serpent, simultaneously one of the most amusing and annoying characters in anime history. And you have all the different OVAs. You've got Return,
They are in
Book
order,
of Spells.
I believe.
Yeah, probably.
They're hard
Great.
to find order.
Gorgeous. Excellent. All of which focus on Lena and Naga. And then you have Premium, which switches to the series regular cast with not only Lena, but Amelia, Zagatis, and Gallery.
Yeah, but
This
it does. It's the only one that actually deals with, that kind of combines both universes.
And it is it's a very amusing series. And I will admit, the OVAs, and even the movie to a degree, the movie's pretty good, but the OVAs in the movie don't come close to the level of quality of the series, but they're still a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun.
And as a completionist, I do believe they should be available for the regular consumer.
Now, ADV did one more release of this crop beforehand, which for those of you who like to condense, where they actually said release the OVAs. So all of this they re-released in one set. Of course, I have not seen a re-release of Premium, which is sad because they are good series. They are good. I don't care as much for the dub this time around. They use a different voice dubber for Lena.
Really?
Which I love Lisa Ortiz's portrayal. Actually, I prefer her to the Japanese. I know you would disagree.
Sacrilege!
But
because the original Lena was Megumi Hayashibara, and I think she's just phenomenal for the character. But I will admit, Lisa Ortiz does a fine job. The biggest, I've only seen a little bit of the dub. My biggest issue is was Zelos, I believe, was completely off. But some of them were fun.
See, and I hated the Japanese version of Zealous, so it was kind of a weird alternation there.
So that was one that definitely, I'm pretty sure everything that's been released in Japan has a release here so far. But we really need these ADV ones to come back around.
They might as well complete. It would be nice to see a complete Slayers set.
Yeah. So Funimation, get on that. And the next one, I don't know how expensive the Slayers ones are, but the next one got pricey.
Number 12.
This one done got pricey.
Alright, so this one is a hard one to get in this format especially.
Yeah.
But I believe only one of the volumes was extremely expensive
Number
back
4.
in the time. And that is Paranoia Agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the nice box set. I got lucky. You'll notice the theme of certain ones that are over and over again, like this is Guineon, another Dead Company.
Yep.
And here, just to show you the volumes, and I know you like this series, so you can talk about it after I show it off. Of course, that's the infamous Volume 4, the one that is the most expensive and hardest to get. Then there's 3, 2, and probably the easiest to get, 1. Seems like that's the case whenever you're trying to buy loose series. It's always Volume 1 that is the easiest to get.
In the vast majority of cases, yes. Now, hand that back over, Owen. Now, this series really needs a re-release. And it's actually one of 2 that will be coming to...
Satoshi Kon needs an entire collection.
Satoshi Kon was freaking brilliant. And unfortunately, the dude drove himself to an early grave. He worked really hard, like a lot of Japanese animators do, and directors and whatnot. He worked really hard, and apparently it's not an uncommon thing for them to die young. But Khan left just a handful of movies, some shorts, and 1 series. And Paranoia Agent's a short series. It's 13 episodes?
Yeah.
Centered on a meek office worker and this weird, creepy character known as Shonen Bat, or Little Slugger is the American name for him. And there's the office worker there. And I'm not going to go much more in depth than that, because one of the great joys of Khan's work is seeing how everything turns together and everything plays out. He had an obsession in his films with madness, with the fantastic, with blending the border between reality and fantasy, and this series plays that up to 11. And one thing more than anything else that this show had going for it, other than just general awesomeness, it has one of the best opening theme credit sequences of any series ever. It's like one of the most creepy openers ever. And so I love this show. It is criminal that it has never been picked up since Guineon went under. And I've actually suggested that they really need to do a Criterion release of all of Khan's work.
Yeah.
Including this. That would be so awesome. But if an anime company picks it up, I could see this being I could see Sentai doing one of their premium sets for that. I would rebuy it to get that.
Oh, yeah. It'd be nice to have one, a nice premium set. Though, I'll admit, this set is valuable. Do you have the whole series?
I have the whole series, but I don't have the art box.
I have it in the loose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and believe it or not, many people who were introduced to this were introduced through Cartoon Network, of all places.
Wow.
And so, number 11.
Okay. And this is another one that was one of my early introductions to anime and manga, which I don't recommend it. Don't try this at home, kids. I love weird. But this was weird that I found trouble with. But it's one of his favorites.
Oh, yes.
So, this is the show Bobobo, Bobobo. And, just to give you an example, let's look at these episode titles. The bona fide soulful protector of hair. Let's get wiggy with it. Etc., etc. This is a guy who, you see those enormous, what looks like an enormous Fu Manchu mustache? Those are his nose hairs. Yep. He fights with something called the Fist of the Nose Hair. And then Papa Rocks is one of the most vulgar, crude, crazy characters ever. And then you got Mostly Beauty is the one who is like the jaded voice of reason for the show. The straight man. Yeah, and then this show was released by Some More Entertainment, 2-volume release, And I don't even know if this company, what they did, if they were around long or...
Oh,
I don't know, but...
I love this one. I
Yeah.
actually know more about the release.
Yeah.
I first got introduced to this through Cartoon Network. I saw a commercial for it, and I was like, okay, I gotta watch this. And it just... I love stuff that can just totally send my mind for a loop. My mind stops racing at the time because it's just constantly going, what? And I was worried that it was never going to get to this release. I was worried there was never going to be a full release. Another company tried releasing it and released 4 volumes. And those 4 volumes, only one of those volumes is easy to get. The 4th volume is almost impossible.
Was that ADV or manga?
I can't remember who did that. I used to have them,
Yeah.
but I got rid of them because I just have this and I'm fine with that. Let somebody else get a hold of a copy. Now, this particular series, I don't care for this release any more than the other ones overall, though I love the dub. I would like to have gotten a good sub, just to see how it is in the Japanese. And though I think
Was
they
that
do
sub
have
only?
they do have, it's a dub only, and it does have the Japanese track.
Oh, okay.
It says with English subtitles, but the subtitles are actually not the translation. It's the hearing impaired.
Okay.
So you really don't get a proper sub with a sub track. I really do wish to get a proper release of this. I'm glad it got out. This company started out. It releases other things. Matter of fact, I have another one. My Ed Wood box is by this same company.
Wow.
They tried to release a couple other anime to break in, but just failed at it. Another example is. They tried to do Galaxy Railways, or whatever the equivalent, 999, Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah.
They got the first half of the series, stopped being able to run it, and never finished that one. So it's really sad story.
Yeah. And I didn't even bother picking up this release because I was like, it's too expensive.
It wasn't that expensive. It was like 24 piece.
That was too expensive. I will happily get Bobobo if I can get it 2 volumes for $8 a piece.
I mean, for 38 episodes.
Yes, but it's Bobobo. But I will admit, it deserves a place in release here. Even though I think that's too expensive, I know there's people out there like him that would have happily snapped it up. And for those that missed your first chance, hopefully it'll come back around again. The next one is one I do want.
Number 10.
Yes.
So, this is a series that probably will not see a re-release because of the controversy. The creator of this series was caught with a boatload of kiddie porn. DVD kiddie porn. And it was his. So, yeah, that kind of dooms the series. It had a nice live-action trilogy, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard is excellent.
Yeah.
And it had a slight revisitation in a Blu-ray format for an OVA. But so far, no other re-release. I think you have Volume 1.
Yeah, you got me a beat-up but nice-looking art box, but I don't have Volumes 2 and 3.
So what we're talking about is Rurouni Kenshin. So this had 3 stories. This one was the 3rd, second, and first. Now, the one that most people remember from Kenshin is this, which is the Kyoto arc. They had that OVA, which is a slight summary of this. This is considered the best of the 3, as in, well, top-tier anime. That's what made the anime so good. This one was kind of a iffy story. Some people like it, some people don't.
Of course, from what I hear, the new Kyoto arc did not get very high praise at all.
Well, it was sloppily done.
It's a shame. Sentai released that one, and I actually do have it. I've not seen it yet.
Yeah.
But,
this
yeah.
is the better format to see that
Yeah.
arc in. They kind of rushed it for the other.
Yeah.
But it's good. You got a wandering swordsman. And he has forbidden himself to kill, so he travels around with a wooden sword. And he has... There's other incarnations, like Samurai X, also out of print, by the way. which were the times before this series happened, when he was a serious samurai. All of it is top-notch. The writing is incredible, the animation is incredible, the fight scenes are great. Yet, the creator, not so much.
And incidentally, the original release was Anime Works, and maybe since Sentai had it, and they do have some less than stellar titles, maybe they'll consider. But yeah.
I don't think Anime Works has gone under. I think it's
Are they still around?
I think it's still around.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're not producing this anymore, but still, I think they're still around. At least doing some porno or something. I don't know what they're doing. But I feel like that's what's happened to some of them, is they just released some hentai titles or something like that, small ones.
Right.
But I want to say that one, like Anime Ego, is still around, but just kind of hanging around, not doing a lot.
Yeah, Anime Go's kind of weird. We'll get to them later. We got a few of their releases, but anyway.
All right. Number 9.
So this is actually kind of a revisitation of our last video, because, and there were a few shows where we could have kind of done this, and we kind of, I guess, split hairs a little bit, but we, in the last show, talked about Kodomo no Omacha, child's toy, aka Kodocha, because it got halfway released here in the States. But because even the American release is way out of print, we decided we were going to bring it back around. This is season 1 in the this is what they called the Babbitt Box edition. Yeah. And you basically just open it up and you see all those. Yeah, all the individuals. And you got a neat little kind of art box there of the two leads. The second season got a nicer box, and that is this box here, which opens up to show, again, the individual ones.
Yep.
And I also came with a little stuffed Babbitt toy that came, with it. So I actually managed to luck out and get the really nice collector's editions here. But
see, mine is not as... So I got the individuals for the first season, and the second season I got the thin pack.
Right.
Thin pack for the first one is outrageous. Actually, this one's not that easy to get either now.
But at any rate, since we already talked about it before, I don't think we should really do too much with it this time.
The Funimation.
The main point is, yes, Funimation released it and dropped the license. So, unlikely the Funimation will be behind a re-release, but here's, hoping Discotek or Sentai or one of them will pick it up, Yeah. And finish it. Yeah.
Number 8.
Alright, this is a big one. And I'm very hopeful because this is getting a Fathom Events release a month from now. Yeah. And I really hope it triggers a re-release.
This is kind of a crappy release of Perfect Blue. This is the only one that I know of that's available. If you're getting another type of copy, it's probably a bootleg. There are lots of those.
I bought one from my local video store, assuming, never do that. And it turned out it was a freaking bootleg. Perfect Blue, once again, Satoshi Kon. This was his first feature-length film, and it is phenomenal. It is one of the best anime movies not produced by Studio Ghibli, and it arguably stands the test against most Ghibli films. It's really good. It's also, a lot of people claim that this was the inspiration for Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. Aronofsky has adamantly refuted that, but it also admitted to being a fan of the movie. So
I could see Aronofsky being a fan of Khan.
Yes, but this is a phenomenal film, and if I can go see the Fathom screening, I really want to. But the fact that this movie is so hard to get baffles me. I think his other features are still in print. I know Paprika is. I think Tokyo Godfathers and Millennium Actress are still in print.
I think you can get those in Blu-ray even.
But this was a manga entertainment release, and for some reason, no one's picked it up since then. I think this one deserves a Criterion release, but if it gets a deluxe treatment from Funimation or Sentai, I won't be upset. You know, it does deserve a deluxe treatment, whoever puts it out. But this film really needs a re-release, big time, especially because I don't want to have a freaking bootleg. And it's like one of the only I can't take it out of my collection because I want this movie in my collection, but I don't want a bootleg in my collection.
As we had said in an earlier episode about bootlegs, sometimes you just want something in your collection so bad, you just got to keep it until you can get that legit copy. Mm-hmm. That's why I've got a couple that are remaining in mine. Okay. Number 7.
Okay. And if we lose track of the number...
well, that's why we pause in between areas so we can move these boxes around.
So the next one up is one that actually is a personal favorite of mine. And it's sort of like a sentimental favorite, in part because of the release issues with this one. And that is the show Karin, which got an American release in the manga under the name Chibi Vampire. It's basically a series about an unvampire named Karin who belongs to a family of vampires. Oh, yeah. And instead of needing blood, she produces extra blood and has to inject rather than drain blood. Yeah, there's the manga there. And this, of course, Usui is the guy that becomes her friend and, you know, and becomes part of their world, even though, you know, humans aren't allowed to be part of the vampire world. And there's, you know, that's her friend there. And her grandmother, crazy character there. And then her with her kid sister, Anju, who's one of the weirdest, creepiest, more amusing characters in anime. It's a good show. It's a flawed show. The manga, the anime introduced a character who was never showed up in the manga, who is a crap character and really dragged down the show. Winter Sinclair is one of the most annoying characters ever. But it's a great show. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that I gave you at least 4 of these volumes or sold them to you or something.
Because you ended up getting the...
Because at this point in time, I was totally new to the idea
he got the better deal.
of pre-ordering anime. In fact, Karin came across my plate when I was still just getting into anime. And that's one of the reasons why it's a sentimental favorite to mine. It was introduced to me through streaming. I think you had probably downloaded a couple episodes.
Yeah, because I'd seen it.
And I was like haranguing him and our other gaming friends, when are we going to see more episodes? When are we going to see, you know, and it finally got to later. I actually put in a pre-order when Genian put it up for, you know, I put in a pre-order through my local movie store for the complete collection, which obviously is a little more condensed than that one. Just like that one, it does include, you know, the nice reversible covers. You can kind of see them under the discs. Yeah. But it's a real nice, neat little set. It's one of the only Genian sets that I have like this that's actually in pristine, I won't say pristine shape, but really good shape.
Love shape.
Because most of them I bought used. But here's the thing. This was one of the very last sets that Genian put out. They went under not long after this show came out. And so this skyrocketed. This set sells for, what, $300 usually? Yeah. It's very expensive. The individuals are not cheap either, but so I got a good buy there. But it's such a lovely show. Even though it's flawed, it's such a lovely show. I cannot believe no one has picked it up. This would be right in Sentai's wheelhouse. You know, it would be perfect for them. But so this show really, really needs a re-release. And I love that my set's nice, a collector's set, but I'd really love to see this one get another go.
I actually was introduced to this series through New Type magazine, which should, for those of you who actually are anime veterans, you know how old that magazine is. It's not in print any longer. I believe that they some of the, I can't remember who, probably Ginyon was related to it. ADV was, I thought, more related to it, but I remember seeing an article about it, and that's what prompted me to say, I've got to see this series. I think it was an ADV. I think it was before the rights had actually been, because I got to see it before the rights went. Alright. Number 6. Alright, well, we were talking about similar releases by Viz of shoujo series. And this particular one, along with Honey and Clover, released similarly in the way that they were packaged. Both of them spectacular series.
And
this
spectacularly rare and overpriced right now.
And that is Nana. Again, nothing overly spectacular about it. I mean, you open it up and
it falls
the
apart.
Stuff falls apart.
It's under your feet.
This one had, of course, adverts for the live action, which I do have, by the way.
But it has that same nice
And
matte cover that the Honey and Clover had. That's really neat.
They also have a nice little guitar pick,
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
which came with it. The
I still need to see that show.
other sets, it came in 4 sets. Again, I got these for about $25 a piece at the time, which was maybe considered somewhat expensive at the time, but well worth it in hindsight. Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. And I've done a review on these series on this channel, so check it out. I won't have the link down below because I will have long since forgotten to do so, but it is in my reviews. Now, Nana is 2 women. One is a young woman traveling to Tokyo to be with her boyfriend. She's more of the just typical young girl type. Other Nana is a punk rocker who is trying to make a name for herself and her band in Tokyo. They both end up running into each other by chance and end up sharing an apartment together. And a lot of meaningful stuff happens in between. So, again, I can't believe Viz has held on to this without trying to re-release it. A Blu-ray release for the soundtrack alone would be well worth it. I love the soundtrack of this one. Matter of fact, that's the one part of it that I do consider higher than Honey and Clover. I like Honey and Clover better story-wise, but still very, very good.
What's the song? Is it Starless Night?
Yeah.
That's a cool song. And Nana is a prime example. I've said a few times, I think on this channel, and I definitely say a few times, I really love it. I really love it when soundtracks are included in the physical release. It's a wonderful bonus feature.
Oh, yeah.
And considering that one of the stars of this is a musician and music is a major part of the series, a soundtrack should be part of any re-release. Yeah.
That is very much so. I hope that in the future, that would be a good one for Sentai to get with one of their box sets, and then you pack in a thing. Maybe like the Beck set that they have with the amp.
Or like the K-On!
One
set.
that's coming up. Number 5.
All right. Now this one, I envy this guy. I do. The only piece of this series that I own is the only one that's remotely cheap, and it's the least impressive part of it, and that is the movie New Kimagure Orange Road, Summer's Beginning. But Kimagure Orange Road, this is the actual series. And then you have this nice little art box set that he actually has here that has the OVA and the first movie. Kimagure Orange Road, it revolves around, am I remembering correctly, that, Madoka Ayokawa.
Yeah, picture right there.
In And you've also got the other girl is, what is her name?
Actually, let me see. Yeah, that's her. Right
Hikaru Hiyama? Yeah. And then the main dude is Kyosuke Kasuga, or Kasuga Kyosuke. Not the cat, obviously.
No, it's the cat.
That dude. But it's a romantic comedy with superpowers. That's the long and short of it. Madoka is one of the coolest characters in any anime ever. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. She is not just a great love interest, she's just a really cool character. This dude belongs to a family that have superpowers. And it's like telekinesis, right? Or like ESP or whatnot.
Yeah.
The cat is the best member of the family. That's his sister, right? Yeah.
Yep. And
Other sister.
other sister.
Father. Yeah.
Friend.
Goofy friend. You gotta say goofy friend.
Other friend.
I don't remember who that is. Okay.
And then, of course, the last volume.
Yes. And then, yeah, once again, Madoka there.
And
But,
then, let me
yeah,
see.
you go show those off too.
Oh,
But anyway, this is a show from the 80s. It was released
the
by...
first movie.
Yeah. It was originally released, and most of it was released by Animego.
too.
Probably the reason why this piece is easier to get is that it was actually released by ADV Films.
Another out of print.
Just another, which didn't help it in the long run, but it did make it more available. Most of the Animego stuff is genuinely rare if you didn't get it, when it first came out.
Yet,
But
it's not closed. It's still in existence. ADV is not.
yeah.
Animego is still in existence.
A lot of the ADV was simply inherited by Section 23 and Sentai and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not all of it was. But yeah, it is puzzling. What is Animego doing? I don't really know. They're there. They put new stuff out now and then. It's just really hard to say. And I know they dropped most of their licenses. But this is one that really... really needs a re-release, if only because I want it and I'm not paying some $500-600 for it. I don't know. Is that what it's going for now? I guess.
Back then it was going for around $400 for the. If
but
you could get
look at all those volumes.
That's around $400 right there. The art box.
Yeah.
That'll up the price by $50 to $100,
Yeah.
which I really wanted the art box.
Yeah.
But I just have to survive. I just have to be happy I have the singles.
Yeah.
All right.
I will one day, maybe.
We're coming down to the wire.
Yes.
Number 4.
4.1, 4.2, 4.3. There's
This
a lot
is really
of them
a
here.
company that just kind of didn't go under. They just stopped making anime. And this is called NIS America. They make video games, very anime-centric. Those of you who know the Disgaea series will know there. And that's kind of odd that the Disgaea anime was not released by them.
Right.
That would have been good, actually. I wish they had gotten it that way.
Yeah.
But for a while, they produced these awesome anime boxes. I mean, I'll hand you one here that's yours.
Yeah.
I actually have the standard of
this
that.
is one of the absolute all-time greatest anime out there. I can't say as much for the manga, but this is a show called Bunny Drop or Usagi Drop, and this is what the old school box sets look like.
Yep.
I hate to say it, mine is actually missing the DVD because it was purchased used. It does have the Blu-ray, and that matters more to me. But we've shown them to you before, these lovely art boxes that they do.
Yes.
But
and we're going to be a little bit more in depth with these a little bit later. We're going to try and do a video covering most of their releases. We're going to pool our collective resources between the both of us. We have a good stock of these premium sets. One that I brought out was the Natsumi's Book of Friends, which came in 3. Unfortunately, the last season that came out did not get picked up by these people. It hasn't been picked up yet. I wanted to also show you a standard copy. Now, the DVDs in this, as you can see, are very similar. I don't like that they do the spool for that one.
Did they do a spool?
Yes, that's a spool.
Oh.
But it's very similar to here. You can actually see that this is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just the packaging on the outside is different. Mm-hmm. So if you actually track down one of these, of that series, you could get a, not cheap necessarily, but a cheaper way of completing that set. But this is how their regular editions do look, typically, or like your standard Blu-ray case. I've actually shown at least one of those on this channel. Now, also, they started releasing in another type of premium set, which is this style. You'll see this style for card captors, if her flag breaks, Chronicles of Going Home Club, among others, where you've got the standard like tough box here. You've got your
shorter, thicker art book.
Shorter, thicker art book, but similar stuff on it. And of course, this one has. I actually like how they did this Genshiken set.
It's a show about nerds and geeks. So they did this. The original release was who did it? Was it ADV that did the first series?
Yeah, but they have re-released that one.
But they did
actually
like this one. Obviously, is supposed
Works.
that's supposed to be like a PlayStation.
Because I'm reading I'm seeing the Anime Works,
Works
logo on.
But they did the same basic thing. They used the different I believe they used like a magazine format, like a new type format for the cover, which is really cool. But yeah, the NIS stuff. We know that Aniplex has already re-released on Ohana. Yes. We know they have picked up the license for Wagnaria, but we don't know if they have the first 2 seasons or just the last half of the season. We do not yet know, and again, leave in the comments if you know, pretty much anything else they've done. Bunny Drop, Genshiken's Second Generation, Natsume's Book of Friends, which, like you said, Natsume's Book of Friends is not finished yet and has not been fully released here. But we've also got Love Live. Funimation has Love Live Sunshine. So hopefully they'll get the first series. Yeah. Hopefully. And then you've got, what are some of the other big ones that they did? They did Ground Control Psychoelectrical. Toradora desperately needs a re-release.
Arco Under the Bridge.
Arco Under the Bridge desperately needs a re-release.
The Toradora did get a secondary release not long ago.
From someone else. They need someone else to pick up the license. I'd love Sentai to pick up Toradora and do a premium set with the OVA, because I do not have the OVA episode, and I want it. And it's a crying shame that NIS saved Cardcaptor Sakura from the oblivion. I got their set, and it's awesome. But now it's once again left hanging. Discotech needs to swoop in and say, oh, this is a classic series. We need to get that.
And my Cardcaptor set is from another done company, Pioneer.
Yes, but Cardcaptor desperately needs to stay in print.
Yes.
Nyaruko Crawling with Love. I have Season 1, but Season 2 is impossible to get.
Actually, though, the 2 sets that neither one of us has, Katana Gatari, which you can get, but it's only available in premium, and you'll have to pay at least $350 minimum.
Aniplex owns the Monogatari franchise, which I believe that's related to.
I'm not sure if that one got a re-release through Aniplex. I haven't
But
checked.
it probably will eventually.
It will if it hasn't.
And Persona, if I'm not mistaken,
Persona Trinity Soul has not had...
Is it Sentai or Funimation that has that franchise?
Actually, it's been split because Aniplex has Persona 4 Golden out, and they're releasing Persona 5. Persona Trinity Soul was their first release, and that is... I have not seen a copy.
Was it even before Toradora?
Yes.
I thought Toradora was a flagship.
No, that was their very first.
Oh, okay.
And maybe that's why you can't find a copy of it anywhere.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will be going to the next one. Number 3.
Numero 3. Okay, this next one is one that he lucked the hell out in getting this set. I have gotten the beginning of the new release, but this is a show that is really, really, really fun. and really good and really needs more love here is Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, right there in the front, you got your main character, Golden Freaks. You've got 4 sets in the original Viz release of this.
Karapika.
Yep. And
Guy.
But anyway, so those, the original Viz release was not bad. It's pretty nice, decent sets, you know. But this is yet another one that Viz basically just dropped. And they are releasing the new series.
Yeah, they've got a new series coming out. Well, that's already done.
But they're releasing the new series. They're releasing the movies that go with it, or at least I know they put out Phantom Rouge recently. It's time for them to go back and dust the old one off and put it out. I mean,
it was well done.
Yeah, it was very well done series. A lot of fun.
And unlike the where they kind of rush through the early parts in the redo of the series, this one they take their time more. I think they rushed through it beforehand, mainly because they knew this one was out there.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like how Brotherhood kind of rushed through the beginning for Full Metal Alchemist. And the other one, if you really want to see some of the early stuff and more in depth, watch the original series.
Yeah, it's unfortunately when you get to shows where they don't quite get it right the first time and they decide to reboot it, you sometimes have that little thing going on. Like Full Metal Brotherhood is phenomenal, but if you watch it going in blind without the other, you might be missing some stuff. Yeah. But yeah, this is a fun show, and again, this original release is gone. It's gone. You can't get it.
I got lucky.
If you do, you pay an arm and a leg for it. And yeah, he got lucky.
Yeah. I found these used when they were doing a 50% off anime sale at Movie Stuff.
Yeah, you got the whole thing for like $40-some, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't very expensive when I got it. I was surprised somebody had turned these in. I was like, lucky.
All right, next for your go.
All right, we're getting close to the end.
Yep.
Number 2. Well, we've talked about classic series, and we've talked about our friends Anime Ego. This is a series of monumental proportions, so I'm going to run through it, and that series is Urusei Yatsura. So I'm going to run through each of these box sets real quick to show you. They go in 3s, and these boxes are actually harder to get than the individuals. Though the early ones in this pinkish are the easiest to get. Yeah.
In general, the first 25 volumes, with a couple of exceptions, the first 25 volumes you can probably get for between $8 and $15 each. So that's not bad, but it adds up, especially because they're 4-episode volumes.
Yeah, there are 50 in total.
50 in total.
So that's the second set series. The purple. And that has your volumes there. I'm putting it away as we talk because it literally is right next to me where I keep it.
I own probably 26 of the volumes, and about 23 of them are in the first half or quarter half of the set. I just have a couple of the later ones because once you get to about 35, they fall off the map.
That one.
Yeah. Most of the later ones you cannot get.
Yep. So now we're going to get into where it gets pricier.
Yeah.
And I believe you said that you would only get them if they were 14 or below.
I was actually shooting for 8 or less, but I've given that up. But I'm still only getting them when I see really good deals.
These are kind of the reddish-ish.
Yeah.
Again,
a couple of these, I think it's volume 33 that you can buy for pennies. But almost all the others in the 30s. Expensive.
And again, though still essentially gettable.
Yeah. But this is very notable. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with the news of the re-release for the manga. But this is really the series that put Rumiko Takahashi on the map. This was her first anime, and I believe her first major manga. Like, it definitely was one that made her notable.
So this is the one that is the most expensive.
Yeah.
And I will take out the individual volumes in this one because. And so you've got this.
Mm-hmm.
You can see, though, the quality animation, of course, getting better as you go along.
Oh, yeah. The show started at the very beginning of the 80s. So definitely evolved.
So, you got this one.
Mm-hmm.
This one here.
Mm-hmm.
48. 49. And now the one that you can't get for under 100 typically.
That's probably a lot cheaper than it usually runs.
50. And it has one of the more amusing Easter eggs. Where they're sitting there and they're running around the factory. We did it! The last one is
actually,
done!
Talking about Easter eggs, one cool thing about the Animego release is the character bios that they had on. They had them on, I think, just about all the volumes.
And they usually have. I'm trying to see if I have one in here. I don't think I have one. They used to have all these little inserts in certain ones.
Some of them did, and they had like liner notes and that kind of stuff. They were really good for what they were. The releases were good. They just added up so quickly.
Now these two are not as hard to get, or at least they weren't when I originally looked.
Yeah, they weren't. Now this one I lucked. I don't have the art box, but I lucked the hell out. I got all 6 of these for about $23, and I don't think I've ever seen them for that price before or since. The movies, however, are a whole different story. They are all over the map in terms of how pricey and rare they are.
Beautiful Dreamer has a re-release.
Beautiful Dreamer we have presented here because I got the new re-release. So far, the only piece of the series Discotek has announced.
What was the most popular?
They may have this one here. This one is currently in print. It's the only piece of the series that is.
And on Blu-ray.
But it was very expensive before then.
It is a well-done movie.
Yeah.
The dub, and some of these do have the dub, not the series, but this, and it is probably some of the most abysmal English. This is one of the few series
have that movie.
I actually prefer to watch in the Japanese.
And like any good horror series, we have the final chapter, followed by another volume. And I do have that one.
Always, my darling.
Yeah. Now, again, Discotek did put out the most popular movie. Let's hope that their sales were decent enough that they'll spring. If they spring at least for the other movies, it's a start.
Well, I could do a movie set.
Yeah, but we definitely need that show released.
Well, of course, before we get to our number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Well, I hope you enjoyed those. There's so many, and there's so many more than what we showed here, but we just don't have the time. We're already getting to an hour, which is probably going to be too long for some of you, but I'm hoping that you found this worth it.
Yeah.
And now, number 1.
Yes. And we're going to start off with the one set that he randomly bought me, and to get me, he's like, you need to see this show. And I watched it, and I have to admit, this is my favorite show.
Yeah.
This is volume 1 of Masonicoku. It was originally released by Viz. They've got volume 2. Volumes 1 and 2 are really not that hard to get.
$30 a piece, usually.
Maybe 30 a piece. Volume 3 is going to run you a little more, but it's not that hard to get. Volume 4 is where they start getting a little pricey.
So
Volumes.
now these. Now, what happened is this.
Yeah.
And I was here when they were starting to print these.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of my friends at the time who owns a shop, Jack's. He actually ended up loving the series and he wanted to get them. He said, "You need to order these because they've decided, because of lack of interest, to stop really printing many copies. You had to order these 4 directly from the distributor." So if you wanted to get... Now, number 5, you could still get a little bit of.
It might run you $100 or more, but you can get it.
Number 6...
Harder
again,
to get.
And then number 7 is pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually still has a little thingy on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Some of them do, some of them don't. Again, I'm glad to just have what I have.
Right.
And then finally, now volume 50 of Urusei Yatsura is pricey, but this is pricier still. Volume 8. Now, you might see the others pretty plentifully on eBay. You won't see this one as often on eBay.
I don't even have Volume 8. It's my favorite show. I don't have it because it's so expensive.
I would look
and
this
it's hard
up.
to get.
And I would look this up on the web. Unfortunately, my web is down at the moment.
The last I checked, it wasn't even listed on Amazon or Dealaz. For the last couple years before that, you could typically find 1 or 2 copies at probably, I would say, average price, probably $400 to $500.
Yeah.
But these are 12-episode volumes. The show overall is 96 episodes.
Except for the guy who did 20,000 for.
Now, but it is worth it. You got the
Not
show.
20,000.
The show focuses on Godai and Kyoko. He is a young ne'er-do-well college student, a Ronin college student, and he moves into an apartment complex, Ikoku, with Kyoko is the recently arrived, she comes after he does.
Yeah.
She is the new apartment manager. She takes over when the old apartment manager leaves in the middle of the night, largely because of these 3. These 3.
Yes.
The neighbors from hell. The series also focuses a lot on Shun Mitaka, Godai's primary rival. It is notable as a Takahashi series that actually finishes the story it sets out to tell. The anime is notable not only in finishing where the manga goes for the most part, but it's actually pretty faithful to the manga. They leave out a couple chapters.
And the character.
There's an entire character who's left out, one of the other tenants of the apartment. And they introduce a few episodes, although I will admit, Mitaka is deathly afraid of dogs. The episode where Akemi, Yotsuya, and Ichinose try to cure him of his dog phobia, that was pretty funny. But that was a pure filler episode. And there's a few areas where they backed off of where the manga went. But it's a really good show. It's one of my favorites. It's worth a price, but it's not quite worth the price that you have to pay now. And this one is practically ungettable now. So the show desperately needs a proper re-release. Now, I don't know if Viz is going to pony up and go for it again, or if they're going to have to let someone else do it.
Yeah.
But it's past time for someone to put it out in a re-release. I think they've redone it on Blu-ray in Japan. So it could be worth trying to do a Blu-ray repackage here. if nothing else, you can see this is a bulky series.
We could use a
we could use a
smaller
condensed version,
It's sort of
even though
like-
these sets look cool.
I mean, Ranma
You know.
had a similar issue,
Yeah.
and it had these bulky sets.
Yeah.
There were like 5 DVDs apiece, and there were 7 of them.
Yeah.
And they repackaged them into these smaller Blu-ray sets,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm still working through. I'd like to see that treatment with this particular series.
Yeah.
Maybe fewer sets.
Yeah.
Maybe like 1 set for every 2 of these. Maybe.
I mean, again,
you
each
know.
one of these sets is 12 episodes. So you could easily, just your typical 12-episode anime is like a regular jewel case. So even if you did, I mean, one of these, so this is typically 36 episodes according to most releases.
Oh yeah, 4 sets.
So yeah.
4 sets should be all you need. And this is one of the ones that we had full consensus on, including, this was both of our number ones.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not 100% certain whether I consider it my number one, but I consider it, I've had it off and on as my number one for many years. And really the same 4 or 5 anime keep circling around that one spot.
Right.
And this one is very high up there.
Right.
You should check it out if you haven't already. Of course, good luck in finding it. I'm not even sure that there is a stream of it.
You can get bits and pieces of it online. You can stream the 2-episode live action
The
special.
stuff that's not on DVD, you can get a hold of.
And we
online.
have discussed this series regarding the
Yes.
non-release stuff on our previous video. I still think it would be awesome if they just did a major Takahashi push toward re-release, not just the anime, but the live action as well. But,
So, with that being said, and I do have the live action movie.
yeah.
But with that being said, I will bid you all adieu.
Yes.
And I hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah.
If you like this video, of course, click the like button,
Yeah.
share, and subscribe, and of course, comment.
Yeah.
What are series that you know are out of print that you've been having one heck of a time getting a hold of, or that you feel really needs that re-release?
Or you're like, you watch this and you're like, what the hell, man? Where was this one? Where was Handmaid May? Where was the Kekokam?
Yes, indeed.
I couldn't do that one with a straight face.
Comment.
Or is there a current release for Cromartie High School? That might have been a good one.
That's true. I don't think that one did get one.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shows out
Yes.
there that need a re-release. El Hazard, I think, is out of print.
But not Kino's Journey.
Yeah, we may have to revisit this ourselves in a while, and
Come up with some
see
different
which ones actually get re-released.
So with that,
All right.
good.